This broadcast of In Focus is being made possible through the support of Reed Health. Reed Health, right beside you. And by First Bank Richmond, with 8 locations serving Wayne County. First Bank Richmond and you, doing great things together.
And welcome to this week's In Focus on Whitewater Community Television's WGTV Channel 11. We have a chance to catch up with a couple of folks from the United Way of Whitewater Valley. Tamara Brinkman, who is the president of the United Way, and Lilly Bolser, who has been a guest on In Focus previously, and who is in charge of and has been for a number of years now, I don't even want to guess how many, the More Than Words program, which has been I think, very effective program in the community, and we'll talk about that coming up. But first, ladies, thank you very much for spending some time with me today.
Glad to be here.
Thanks for having us, Eric.
So, Mara, let's start with you a little bit, because you have not had a chance to be in the In Focus studio, and you're still not, as we do this, still social distancing. For those who have not had a chance to meet you, give us a little bit of your background and how you came to the United Way.
Well, sure, Eric. It really started with my relocating from California to Indiana. I did that with my boyfriend and life partner, whatever you call them when you're not, legally married, who grew up here in Indiana over in Henry County, and he wanted to get closer to family, so we decided to make the transition. And we found a place in Centerville where I live and made that move late 2017. And then I was, at the time in my career out there, I was in the for-profit space in working for an entertainment company. I'd spent a lot of years, my career in that field. And clearly that field and work didn't really translate to my new location. And that was okay. I was excited to try something different and had often thought, if you didn't do this, what else would you do? And it was wanting to do something where I could work, and because you need to earn a living, be able to earn a living, but do that where I was able to help people at the same time, if that was even possible. And so through my job search in the community, I came the United Way opportunity, and we found each other, and I was fortunate enough that the board or the hiring committee from the board felt that I would fit for them, and they took a gamble on me, and I think they're okay, happy with my time so far. I've only been in the position since July last year, so it's less than a year, and there is a lot that goes into running a United Way. So. But it's been a fun learning curve.
Talk a little bit about your first foray into a United Way campaign, what that was like for you, and kind of what you've learned and gathered from that.
Well, believe it or not, Lilly Bolser here, our other guest, was our campaign chair this year. So in addition to what she does with More Than Words, she really helped guide me and navigate the community and the various companies and the folks we work with at them who run campaigns. And so she was integral in helping me out with that, because I started and we pretty much had to hit the ground running. I mean, starting in July, normally you would have already started your campaign preparations by the point I started. So learning the job and how to run a campaign at the same time was a fun challenge, but it, with Leslie already being established in the community and with those connections, it helped me get in to do meetings and meet with different folks, get in front of the folks that, work at the organizations, the factories, the businesses that run, campaigns for United Way, with United Way. It was really helpful, and it was wonderful because I got the opportunity to start engaging with the community folks and meeting different people in the community.
Leslie, I mentioned that you've been doing more than words for, I don't even remember how many years. I know I was on the United Way board at the time. I think the idea was brought up and brought forward. You've seen it go through some changes, some growth, hopefully, through the years. Talk a little bit about what you've seen that program do, your interaction with the schools and the community around it, and some of the changes you're going through now, particularly with school having been out for so early this year.
Yeah, we've been at this for several years through the United Way, and through their generous funding and through their support. It's been really interesting to watch it grow and change over the years. And that's one of the things I really love about the program, is because it is locally owned, locally established, locally dreamed. We really can do whatever we want in terms of adapting and changing to the needs of our community year in and year out. So that makes moments like this for us kind of exciting and interesting to be able to figure out how to best get in front of kids and families, and how to continue to resource the other nonprofits and businesses and organizations that we work with. When everybody may be experiencing this challenge differently, but they're still experiencing this challenge. It's a strange time to be doing what we're all doing, but I think there are it's an opportunity, as I look at it, for us to really evaluate the way that we're helping folks and how we can continue to do that in new and different ways. Mm-hmm. And maybe over time we'll go back to the way we were before, but maybe not in some ways. And I think that's okay too. And, More Than Words is a part of that growth and a part of that change. So without kids in schools, which is, the simplest way to reach a large group of kids is to be in the schools, which is where they are. Without them being in schools right now, we've had to make some changes, but my volunteers that help out in all of those schools have been just really, really wonderful and creative about looking for ways to do that. So the first thing we did was to take our normally in-school assembly and do it virtually and film some. We're lucky to have a husband and wife team that works at one of the schools. And so they were able to film together some of the skits that we do normally. And then all of the other volunteers from the schools filmed individually. And we could put that together and share it with schools. We've been working with communities and schools as well. They're just an amazing partner for a lot of places in the community, including us. And we were able to give them things that we normally put in doctor's office waiting rooms or with Meridian Health or places like that. We were able to give those to communities and schools instead, and then they could resource families as they're feeding them. And then other ways to virtually connect with people like you are right now, finding ways to do that and being creative about that. We just filmed a video highlighting Primex, A House, and BNF, who are all working together to make face shields. And that was that fit with our April word. And then in May, we're talking about determination, deciding it's worth it to finish what you've started. And I feel like, once again, it's a very, very appropriate word for the time that we're in. And so we're going to be talking to a colleague of yours at IU East, Dr. Beth Trammell, who's going to talk to us about mental health and what it's like to be a young person on quarantine, and how we can be careful of what they're facing and how we can help them in these times as well. So I was involved in a meeting a couple of days ago with another area nonprofit that I volunteer with, and I was listening to the creative ways that people are finding to just be helpful and connect with folks in whatever their, whatever their mission is, to find ways to be with kids and families. And I was just really inspired by their conversation and by their creativity. And I immediately reached out to 3 or 4 people that the United Way and More Than Words work with, to see how we can partner and to see how we can be a part of what they're doing. Because I think as we go into the next few months, creating something new may not be the biggest help. But coming alongside people who are already doing things and just making what they're doing more robust, or just aiding them and assisting them in whatever ways we can, might be the answer in the short term for right now. So, we're looking for ideas and we're looking for ways to be helpful. But like Tamara said, this community is known for stepping up and helping out with people who need it. And this moment is no different than what we've seen in the past.
You're watching In Focus on Whitewater Community Television's WGTV Channel 11. We're speaking with Tamara Brinkman, president of the United Way of Whitewater Valley, Leslie Bolser, who is working with the United Way and has been through the More Than Words program for a number of years. Leslie, when the idea of presenting a word a month first kind of got out there were some early takers. But I think for some people, the idea was, okay, this is going to wear pretty soon. It hasn't worn. Have you seen more and more of the community continue to buy into this idea? And now that probably what were 3rd graders when it started are now 8th graders, maybe even freshmen in high school. Talk about how it has grown and changed, and you've seen the kids look at words differently and the community look at words differently as this has grown.
Yeah, that's a really good question. When we did start this and propose this idea, one of the things that some people suggested was maybe we just pick 3 or 4 words, or just pick 12 words and just rotate those year after year. And I was hesitant about that because I love to be creative and do different things. And that felt a little constricting to me. And so we rotate about 30 words over 3 years. So as you said, by the time a student sees one of those words, the last time we talked about determination was over 3 years ago. And so having a child think about that at a young age and then think about it again in middle or high school is very, very different. And I've actually gotten to see that really well as my own children have grown up, hearing about these words in school and in the organizations that they're in. And as a parent, parenting these words and trying to instill some of this in my own children, it's very interesting to have the conversation when they're young about what determination is, and then have the conversation again when they're in middle school or high school about determination. But I think it just allows for some creativity and some new and different options when we're talking about those. But I do think that being able to repeat these over time not only allows for some flexibility in how we do it, but it does allow for us to meet the students where they are in terms of their development and their learning, so that they can understand what it means to be determined as a 2nd grader and understand what it means to be determined when you're a junior in high school. It's very different. Looks really different. Also, I do want to mention, we do primarily work with kids, but what I also love about this is the way that these words and these concepts speak to adults. I know I need determination in my life. And so I love that we're able to talk to adults in grown-up ways about these issues as well. Because we wouldn't be doing a very good job with young people if we didn't have adults in our community who believed in it and who also attempted to or believed in behaving this way and instilling these values as well. So, I need reminders about these every single month, just like everybody else. And I'm really blessed to be able to be a part of something that continues to put these as a mirror right in front of my own face as well.
If parents are looking to connect with these words, they're not getting them in their normal fashions right now. Is there a way that people can find out what the word of the month is, find some of the coloring pages or things of that nature that you have available to them easily?
Yeah, the best way to do that is on social media, on Facebook and Twitter, and it's Better Way to Be is the handle that we use, all one word. And then we also have a YouTube page for the More Than Words Wayne County. And either of those are really great places to find all the things that we've been talking about. A lot of the resources that we send out to schools are now going straight into homes, and we're sharing them freely as much as we can. And we just hope as many kids and as many families can gather access to them as possible so that they can make use of what we're making available.
Thanks. Tamara, as COVID-19 kind of hit the community, the United Way maybe had to find some different ways of connecting, and I think you all have done that. Talk a little bit about the help that you've been able to provide, the donations that you have gotten, and how that's gone out to various not-for-profits in the community.
This all moved so quickly, and we were fortunate to be given, it was around, the middle of March as it's all starting to ramp up, and we received a donation overnight online, and they earmarked it for COVID-19. I've been thinking about, do we need a fund, or what are we going to do? How are we going to help the community? This is just, it's moving so quickly and there's need, but almost like, where do you go? Because it's like, do I go here? Do I go there? Do I go there? Do I go there? Do I have to do all of these things? It's all important. And then within a day of receiving that donation, we received a donation and a disbursement, a generous gift from Meyer, made an overall gift to United Ways throughout the Midwest, and then your size and various factors that they used, all of which I'm not even sure. Each United Way got a varied amount of that $3 million, and so we got $13,000 from them, and we're able to start the fund, and it's been able to grow just through some smaller corporate donations, some from organizations like U.S. Bank that we work with, some from banking institutions that are more involved with United Way as a whole from a national perspective, and as an overall gift to them, we're fortunate to get a little piece of that, even though they may not have a footprint in our community with local, those banks here, and may not be a direct partner of our local United Way. And then the community has stepped up, like we've talked about before, and Leslie reiterated, this is a very generous giving community, and we've had some folks step up and just either go online, or we set up text to give to make it easy for folks and move into current technology. And we've had some donations. So to date, we've been able to give out $18,600 across our service area to various organizations that have applied for relief funding. It's really all been going to, immediately to supporting people who are feeding kids and families. That's one of the most emergent needs, largely because there's kind of that Alice population of those that are working, but still can't make ends meet. And then, so things maybe got worse for those folks. And then you've got people who maybe were just that little bit of step, maybe one above okay, and everything was good, but then this happened, and now they're finding themselves in situations and need of services that they didn't probably ever think they would, or certainly, weren't expecting a few weeks ago to be in that position. So we've been able to fund several organizations some money here and there to help them either buy food, buy supplies, equipment to store the food, because now they need to buy more, they're feeding more, the uptick in people being fed from our pantries and through churches and through communities and schools and all kinds of organizations is really, people have stepped up. So lots of folks are looking for some support out there, and we've been happy to be able to do what we could, up to this point.
I think you all have even been able to provide some information. I've noticed on your website, you all have had a pretty good amount of information available that not-for-profits might need. And some of the businesses could turn to their CPAs and things of that nature, but the not-for-profits don't always have a place to go for information. It seems like you all have been able to provide some of that too.
Yes, we're trying to do the best we can to be a point that the nonprofits can come to us and find information about how to get support, either from us through our fund or also from what the government is providing through through the CARES Act, through the first round of funding, through the second round of funding. That payroll protection plan, it's there. I mean, if you can get your application out and the money still, get it out there, try to get some of that money. You may think that you're fine now, and it may look like you're going to be fine for 6 months, but what none of us know are what the repercussions of this whole situation are going to be. And I don't think any of us have any kind of timeline or timetable for the recovery process and what that's going to look like. And we're all in that situation together. So we just kind of have to navigate the best we can. And in doing so, also be mindful of where those opportunities are for assistance and reach out and try to capture that. So I did try to leverage some information that our state association was making available to us that was universal to all. And on our website, so that it would hopefully help people easily find the application and reach out to their local bank or accountant or whomever they have that helps them by a volunteer or board member in these organizations to get those applications in.
You're watching In Focus on Whitewater Community Television's WGTV Channel 11. We're speaking with Tamara Brinkman, who is president of the United Way of Whitewater Valley, and Leslie Bolser, who has been involved with the United Way in various ways for a number of years. Before we move to another topic, just as you look at this, and Tamara, you mentioned that you came in at a time when the campaign would normally be ramping up, and Leslie, you were running last year's campaign. How has what we're going through right now with COVID-19 kind of changed your thoughts or slowed you down or made you think of different ways that the upcoming campaign might need to look like? Particularly, Tamara, because you were just talking about the future is so unknown, particularly with some of the companies around.
Well, that's very true. And we have not yet had the formalized conversations about this year's campaign. I mean, we've had through some high-level discussions, understanding that what it looked like last year and what it's going to look like this year are probably not the same. Mm-hmm. And some of that will remain to be seen. How many guidelines do we need to continue to have? How much social distancing do we need to do? How many companies, their employees are going to remain furloughed? Are they going to be willing to run a campaign this year? I mean, we're hopeful that they will, because their support is needed now more than ever. I mean, our community's needs are not getting any less, and they're just ramping up and getting greater. But we do understand that we're going to be in a very different time. And so I think we're looking at what's it going to be like if we need to do things digitally, if we're going to need to maybe do kickoff meetings via Zoom, or is it some type of a digital packet that you send to them, with video messaging and, kind of here's how you run a campaign kind of situation. There's a lot of options on the table. And I'm also listening to what counterparts in other United Ways across the state are doing. Some have done a little bit more virtual work on their campaigns already, just as a move in technology change and leveraging technology. And now that's going to prove to be really key, because they're going to have to probably leverage it even more and more robustly, all of us, in terms of, how we're able to communicate with folks and meet and get the word out and basically, ask for the donations.
Leslie, how has this changed the planning process of of looking forward to the fall and what that campaign could be? I know you were probably deeply entrenched in the planning process by this time last year, I would imagine.
Yeah, I think everything she said is exactly right. I think, adaptability and creativity are the most important ways to approach this at this point. And it's probably going to be different for each organization that the United Way works with, making them feel comfortable with the way we approach their employees and not only the ask that we make, but also the method in which we do it. What we need to make sure they're comfortable in that. I think, compassion right now is really important for those who are in need, for families at home, parents trying to work and have kids there with them. And but not only the people that we traditionally think about needing compassion, I think our donors need compassion right now too. It's just, grace and compassion and all of those things are just necessary all the way around. And I think exactly what Tamara was saying and her approach to this is exactly what we need to be thinking about, which is, how do we just approach everybody right now with a really careful way so that they can be a part of the process and be a part of helping, but not also feel uncomfortable with the way things are moving forward. United Way is in a great position right now to be helping people, and they've made some really good decisions in the past couple of years that it makes it so that in times like this, we still can help others. And the reputation of the way the United Way doles out funds and chooses those organizations to partner with is such that, Tamara gets calls with donors when there's a time of need because people feel like they can trust what Tamara and what the United Way will do with those funds and how they'll address needs in the community. And that's a really great place to be in a time like this.
We're down to our last few minutes here with Tamara Brinkman and Leslie Bolser. And Tamara, I want to leave it kind of on a high note. You all have been able to, an organization that really has been generous, very generous, is the Lilly Foundation. You all have been able to acquire a grant that is not just focused on right now, but the future. Can you talk a little bit about that for us?
Oh, thank you, Eric. Yes. So we have been fortunate to be part of, so in this particular instance, it's the Lilly Endowment, Inc., who specifically did an overall gift to all the United Ways across the state of Indiana for COVID-19 relief. And the disbursement of funds was based on population served. So our United Way here, service areas of Wayne and Union County, will get $425,000. And it's just unbelievable that we're getting it. I had to do a small grant application. I just got a notice actually this afternoon, the funds have landed. We are super excited. We will have 2 years, so until March 31st of 2022, to spend these funds in the community for COVID-19 relief. What that will mean is that we will be able to support the community in this emergent time that we're in, where things are very uncertain and the floor really feels very fluid under our feet, to when things start to feel like they're returning to some sense of normal, whatever that might look like, but where it's less chaotic. So that midterm and then long-term recovery, because none of us can tell you what 2 weeks from now looks like, let alone 6 months or a year. But what I think we all can agree on is that there's going to be a tremendous need and recovery process as a result of the impact that this virus and pandemic have had on our community. In addition, obviously, to the nation and the world, but our needs are our needs in our community here in our neighborhoods. And so I'm super excited that we're going to be able to do that. So we've kind of wrapped phase one of the first round of relief fund money, which is to say that we've been able to give out $18,600, and that's the money that we were able to use for Meyer and the community and different things like that that we've given. And then now with the Lilly money, we're just going to sort of redefine the scope of the fund, because now we have dollars that are going to be there for more than just this emergent time to handle basic needs, which was what we started the fund and was the initial scope of the fund. And so we're just going to retool that and provide the guidelines and the policies of the fund and get that going here over the next little bit. And then if we can open it sooner, we will, but we will reopen the application process by May 18th to then start taking applications again for COVID-19 relief fund in line to be able to use some of these Lilly dollars to help in this emergent time. So it's fantastic. It really is.
Leslie, real quickly, give people how to connect with More Than Words and Better Way to Be.
Yeah, so you can go to the United Way website, givetheunitedway.com, or you can go on Facebook at Better Way to Be. And those are the two best ways to find out what the word is and information you would need for your family or your business. And you can always reach out to me through the United Way office, and it's free to be a partner for More Than Words. And we will meet with you and find out the best way to resource the folks that you're working with. And we love to always have new partners and new ways to be talking to the community.
Thanks for your time today. Tamara, before I let you go, if I say Sunny D to you, what do you say to the community?
I say I had a wonderful donor who had a semi-trailer full of Sunny D and was like, hey, by the way, United Way, we'd like to donate this to you so you can give it out to the community. And we were super thrilled to take it. And we were super happy that one of our community partners, Gateway Hunger Relief, had the ability to actually take physical delivery of somewhere between 20 to 22 pallets, 30,000 bottles of Sunny D. They're able to store it. They're giving it out to their folks they serve. We've been spreading the word through social media and emails, and so have they, about the opportunity to nonprofits who can use it to coordinate with them to come take what you can carry away. And so it's been wonderful. So if anyone out there needs some Sunny D to help with the programs you're feeding kids, families, and we have plenty, so reach out to United Way or that, and you can always find the information on our website about that, as well as if you're interested in volunteering or even in donating, through the website or how to text to give. That's all can be found at www.givetheunitedway.com.
Tamara Brinkman, President of the United Way of Whitewater Valley, Leslie Bolser. Thank you both. I appreciate the time greatly, and thank you for what you all are doing in the community.
Thank you.
Thanks, Eric.
I mean, we couldn't do what we do without First Bank, and how supportive they have been throughout the years.
I've had a very good experience working with First Bank. They have been there really with all kinds of different things that I do in my life.
We consider First Bank Richmond a good friend. They're there to help us sponsor our signature events. You always are out there to help each other out.
Besides the business part of it, we just get along really well. And it's beyond a working relationship.
Planting trees. There is a saying regarding planting trees that the best time to plant a tree is yesterday and the second best time is today. When we plant a tree, we are giving benefits to ourselves, our community, and future generations. Benefits from trees include contributions to cleaner air, water, erosion control, wildlife habitat, energy conservation, and more. Studies have shown that urban vegetation and trees help to improve personal health and wellness, such as helping lower blood pressure, reducing stress, and promoting relaxation. To learn more about planting trees, feel free to visit Hayes Arboretum or online at hayesarb.org.
Shine your light, we're better together. All the world we are one. We're better together. Going higher, going higher,
Welcome back to In Focus on Whitewater Community Television's WGTV Channel 11. I'm having a chance to speak with Kate Kotan, who is the Community Development Director for the City of Richmond. How are you today?
I am good. How are you?
I'm doing great, thanks. Let's start with a job description. What does the Community Development Director do?
Every day is a little bit different. I think the biggest thing is problem solving and communication. I do a lot of communication, both like internally helping departments and staff try to get the message of what they're doing out to the community, and then working with community partners to find out what they're needing and issues they're having, and trying to facilitate meeting their needs a little bit better. So I manage the city website and social channels, and develop new tools, digital tools, to try to meet some of the community's needs a little bit better, and a lot of other things. So just try to stay nimble, and really it comes down to communication though.
Do you like the fact that every day is a little bit different?
I do. I like the variety, and I like being able to find ways to make things work a little bit better in new ways, like that no problem is ever the same and no solution is ever the same. So it keeps me fresh.
With the pandemic, talk about how that has kind of changed how you do what you do, how the city is communicating to the community, and what you're needing to communicate to the community.
Yeah, I think it's a good question. I think that it's such a unique time. Like no city has been through this before. And so really trying to work with our partners at the county, the county health department, the county commissioners, the EMA, so that we are unified in our messaging and unified in our strategy and approach, also the healthcare providers, and trying to be proactive in communicating updates, but also making sure that we're concise and providing accurate information and timely information. So the strategy initially was to try to create a repository of resources. There's so much information out there. How and where do you find what is right or correct? So really trying to gather those resources for the local community, and then try to rely on sharing those expert resources and not reinvent the wheel. So that's been kind of the big thing, is not looking to the expert, not having to be the expert, and trying to be a resource for those businesses and those who might be out of work, while understanding that it's just going to be, this is a marathon, not a sprint. So trying to also take care of ourselves and urge others to take care of themselves during this difficult time.
A lot of changes. The city has a new police chief over the last couple of months. There's a lot of things to try to get out. How do you decide on a day in, day out basis what's most important to tell people? Because we've run into the situation, you want to let people know what's going on, but you don't want to overwhelm.
Yeah, I think initially the strategy was, what is going to keep people, first priority is safety. So if there's something that's going to keep people safe or both individually and collectively. So public safety was number one. Once we had maintained how and what the guidelines and restrictions were, both county, state, city, nationally, like all of that, like clarifying those from public safety, then trying to provide those updates beyond public safety. So kind of in those Maslow hierarchy of needs, right? Like once we've established safety, then moving up to the things beyond safety. So playing on the playground and things like that. Like how can you engage safely around those things? And then moving up further, how to take care of yourself. So it's really comes down to if there is something critical that is safety based and we know it's coming out, we don't publish the other things. We don't, because we don't want to inundate, like you said, if we have 5 posts or 5 updates, we have to prioritize because there's a saturation level, and at a certain point people will stop hearing everything, and the safety thing becomes a lot less important if they've heard 5 other things. So trying to make that safety thing really the top priority in any of our messaging.
I know one of the ways that you all have really tried to do this is you've spent a lot of time, I know, working on the city's website. So I kind of want to go to that because this was something that was rolled out before you started in your position. How long have you actually been in your position?
I started mid-January of last year, so about a year and a quarter or so, almost a year and a half. Yeah. Some ways it feels like forever, and others it feels like a blink of an eye. So yeah, and I believe the website launched in 2015. Or maybe the conversation started. So it had been released for several years prior to my start. And I came on board, and actually prior to my even starting, I had kind of experienced the website. And one of the things I was really excited about was leveraging it as a communication tool, because I saw a lot of room and need for updates and unification, and that excited me. But it's also been a big job. So yeah.
I will say that I have kind of watched this a little bit develop over the last year and a half. And I'm going to commend you, because when it first rolled out, I thought the look was great, but there were a lot of things missing. And I think you've been able to kind of work on that. So really what I kind of want to spend some time on is letting the community know what this resource is and some of the things that they can find here. So where do you want to start?
Well, first, I guess the one thing I would just tell everyone out there is that the city's overall approach to communication is that the website is the hub of everything. So if you follow us on social and you get your news from social, just know that it's all pointing back to updates on the website. This is the hub, and it is updated as much or more than social media, and it is where everything lives. So bookmark this website, and if you can't find anything, know that it's probably here. So it's richmondindiana.gov. The look and feel, as you said, is very modern, and it has been fun to work with. So this is the homepage. You'll notice the top bar has links to our social media right at the top. And you've got a great search bar for all of us who use any search engines like Google or Bing or any of whatever is out there. Our search bar works really well. So if you know you're looking for permits, or you know you're looking for sanitation, you can just type that in and find it. Like if you don't know where to start, like so many people when they go to a website, that search bar works really well, and it will pull up a list of search results that you can kind of navigate through. So really make sure that you know that that's there, and that you don't have to know where you're going, because websites, especially municipal websites, can be kind of overwhelming. And I know that. Before I worked in government, I used these websites. So I was always like, I can't find what I'm looking for. Below that, we have our menu system. We'll come back to that if that's okay.
Sure.
And below that, the white banner, this is what we call our announcement bar. This changes as the city has timely announcements. And it's essentially what we call like our announcement or like alert. So right now we're pushing out a sanitation reminder about COVID-19 related to not flush non-flushable items. And this changes. So it rotates, but these don't go away. So this is bookmarked on the sanitation page as well as on our news page, which we can get to later. Traffic closures are often here, like in the summer, if there's road closures, a lot of things, press releases, anything from projects to closures to reminders, things like that.
Okay.
And then if you scroll down, these 4 buttons are what we call our high level, high hit buttons. That's what I call them, at least. The sanitary billing department is our #1 most searched and most clicked resource, according to our Google Analytics. And so that is a constant button here. It never goes away. The other 3 change based on season and what's going on. So right now we all know Census 2020 is happening. So we've got a great resource page there where you can find stuff related locally and nationally about that. And then we all know COVID-19 we are steeped in it right now. So we have a resource page here. And then the farmers market. So Caleb Smith has done an amazing job building an online farmers market, and all of that is linked right there. So we really want to promote that. So those change. And then our popular links, these are pretty stationary. These don't change that much. But again, if we have a special project or something coming up, they will sometimes change. Something that people don't always know is you can sign up for EMA or county emergency alerts. They're great. Like if there's flood alerts or something like that, you can get text alerts, and we have a sign up there. We have
for those people looking to go to Nixle,
yes,
this is the place to go.
So the county website, if you're more familiar with county, you can get to it there, but this just links to Nixle to sign up for those emergency alerts. Right. We just want to support that awareness. Indiana Gateway is, if you are interested in any of the state financials and budgeting, you can click to get there here. In public records, if you want to click there real quick, so we have a partnership with the city and county with a product called Laserfish, and essentially it's a really fancy document management system. It does a lot more than that, but that's essentially what it is. And these are links to the public access to certain sections of Laserfish, and you can access ordinances, contracts, all of these records here. And you can peruse current and past records, accessing that public records link. Now, certain things are not automatically in public records. So if you had to make a public records request, that would be through the legal department. But this is just a place to find some of those links. And then down in the page, down at the footer, we've got contact directory. If you're looking for a job opportunity with the city, the footer, this is common with so many businesses and cities. Scroll all the way down to the bottom, and there's normally a link for jobs. And this is we're the same. So scroll all the way down, and then if you need contact information for the city, it's at the bottom as well. All right, so my favorite page is the What's Happening page. This is an entirely new page since I've started, and it's really a hub for, the goal here is to be a hub for community information and what's happening in the city. So this is a city calendar. This is information related to city boards, commissions, council meetings, and city events. So this isn't a community calendar, it's just a city calendar, and that's an important distinction. It'll have city holidays and our sanitation changes, anything city related. An important note is that it's a Google calendar. So if you're a Google user, you can hit that Google plus button in the bottom and you can add this to your calendar. And so if you really want to become civically active and engaged, you can actually put this on your calendar and be aware of when all the meetings are happening. One of my favorite features is that we have because this is a linked cloud-based calendar, we update each meeting with the content for that meeting prior to it starting. So whenever it's required, so I think about a week out, Common Council, Board of Works, and others update the details for each meeting with links to the agenda, the ordinances that may be up for reading. We often, if it's live streamed, we link to the WCTV link. And the goal here, Yeah, of course. The goal here is really to promote civic engagement and awareness of what's happening in our city and make it easy. So, these are all live links, and we are right now, County Council and Board of Works, this is every week this is happening. It has been a process to get some of the other boards consistently up to speed on this. So look for in 2020 for all of the meetings to have these updated. But for our most critical meetings, we want to make sure that this information is out there for the public. And during this COVID time, we've been putting additional, COVID-19 time, we've been putting additional information about how to get public comment out as well.
You're watching In Focus on Whitewater Community Television's WGTV Channel 11. We're speaking with Kate Kotan, the Community Development Coordinator for the City of Richmond. And we're just really kind of going through the website, which is a great place to stay up with what's going on in the city and to keep up to date. And this may have disappointed a little bit or not provided all of the information, but Kate really has been working on making this a much fuller and a much richer resource for the residents of the city.
So as I mentioned, anything on that news alert on that homepage, when it goes away from that homepage, it lives here. So this is our news kind of bulletin, and my hope is to redesign this section to make it a little bit better to look at, but it's all here right now. So you can go back and see any news alerts that have happened in the city. So the all news will take you to a page. Then we have community calendars. We want to, outside of our city, we want to promote what's going on through partnership and links with the tourism and WayNet to really promote what else is happening out there. And then we have our social feeds, so that we have a link to our YouTube channel, and we have an embedded Facebook link that is accessible for those who may not have a Facebook account, and links as well directly to Facebook. The goal here is just to provide access.
And then we have release information down here.
Yep. So one thing to note about the press releases and the news is that they are also found on each department page. So if it's a police department press release or news release, it's also on that department page, because we know a lot of people wouldn't come to this page for that. They might go to the police department. So we want to try to make the information accessible where people might find it.
If we go to city government?
Yeah.
Boards and commissions, maybe? That sounds like fun.
Yeah, let's go there. So this section of the website was one that when I started, I found that there was a need to provide just a little bit more information to let people know these boards and commissions are doing such great, important work for our city, and how can we let the community know a little bit more about it. So if we click on Board of Zoning Appeals, this is still an ongoing process, but we've made some initial strides. So these top three buttons provide some immediate ways the public can engage with Board of Zoning Appeals. We have a link to WCTV, so you can watch what's happening. We have information related to filing deadlines. And then we have a link to Laserfish, that platform that I mentioned for documents, where you can find agendas, minutes, and applications. This is really, for a lot of meetings, this is the bulk of what people are interested in, particularly with zoning appeals. So the applications provides information on the cases if there was something, if you were a neighbor and you wanted to know what the potential development was. Mm-hmm. So all of the boards and commissions have some variation of these three links on the top of their pages to just encourage education, awareness, and engagement. And it has when they meet, and also the commission or board members.
Nice. Back up. Let's go to the city council. I like picking on them.
Yeah. So city council's had a couple of updates. If you scroll down just a little bit, there's some additional information at the bottom. So we have our council district map. So I know when I first moved here, I didn't know which district I was in. Right. And so we've made an interactive map, and you can click or search your address and find out who your representative is, as well as getting their contact information. So you can click or zoom or search. And then if you click on 2, So you can see Kelly Cruz Nicholson is the representative. And then if you click the little arrow in the red at the top, it'll show you who the at-large are as well. Oh,
well, it goes through. Yeah.
Okay. So then it'll show you who the 3 at-large members are. So you as a resident of Richmond can find out who your representatives are and how to get in touch with them. And just to learn a little bit more about how the city is represented.
Nice.
Yeah. So there's that map, and then the meeting materials. This is just like we have in the other ones. This links to Laserfish so that you can view and review the agendas, the ordinances, and such.
Sounds good.
We try to provide the information not just one place, because we know people access information a lot of different ways.
But we are just about out of time with this, but Kate, please promise me that we can get you to come back so that we can go through more of this. Like I say, I think you've done a great job with the site. I think it is much more improved than a lot of people are aware of. I think I assume there are additional things that you're working on that you would like to be able to tell us about. I know before we went on, you mentioned maps, something along those lines. So what kind of things are we looking for? We've got about a minute or so. What kind of additional information are you adding?
Oh, improvements. We are looking at updating our maps a lot and doing some work on those dashboards to really highlight visually our metrics and our operations, and really streamlining some of our departments to provide a better funnel for the user experience.
Okay. We're looking forward to it. Really, I hope within the next couple of weeks, maybe we can have you back and we can go through a little bit more of this.
Anytime, Eric.
All right. Kate Kotan, the Community Development Director for the City of Richmond, thank you for being part of our In Focus program today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for watching this week's In Focus on Whitewater Community Television's WGTV Channel 11. I want to thank my guests, Tamara Brinkman, Leslie Bolser, and Kate Kotan for being on the show this week. If you are still interested in voting and need an absentee ballot, feel free, call the clerk's office, 973-9226. Also, there is a dire need for poll workers for the upcoming election. If you're interested in being a poll worker, you can also call the Wayne County Clerk's office at that same number, 765-973-9226. Looking for a really great show next week, a special conversation that I'm really looking forward to having. Thanks for watching. Have yourself a great weekend. As always, I wish you well. This broadcast of In Focus is being made possible through the support of Reed Health. Reed Health, right beside you. And by First Bank Richmond, with 8 locations serving Wayne County. First Bank Richmond and you, doing great things together.